You're listening to Up the Turnpike with hosts Mitch Anderson and Matt O'Leary.
Hello and welcome to another Islanders post-game show here on Up the Turnpike. What is going on? Matt O'Leary riding solo for this one. Gonna get into this 2-1 Islanders loss. I don't have the right one in here. It should be, let's see. There we go. A different 2-1 Islanders loss, not against the Flames, against the Detroit Red Wings to close out the road trip. 4 out of an available 10 points, third period meltdowns, and once again, that unfortunately was the story in this game for the New York Islanders. We have some people hanging out with us in the comments. Nick says this team hates Sorokin. That has to be it. He's been stuck at 99 wins for almost 2 weeks, and he deserves to win many of those games. It feels that way. Andre says, I will continue to say it. This will never change until Lou is fired. Not a great one for, I don't think there's any Lou defenders left, but things not going great. Obviously, Corey with the little FML. Corey, thanks for hanging with us. And the Doge says expected. Unfortunately, it is expected, but let's hop into this game. First period, the Islanders go up 1-0. Simon Holmstrom with a little deflection here to get the Islanders on the board. He deflects a Scott Mayfield puck to put the Isles up 1-0. Now, if you look at the shot differential in this first period, it was definitely a slight edge to Detroit at 11-9. But not a ton of great chances for the Detroit Red Wings in that first period. I believe the Islanders did have to kill off a penalty. Yes, they did. The Islanders PK, positive spoiler, they went 3 for 3, the penalty kill, which is, again, just so incredibly rare for this team. Ryan Pulock goes off with a hooking against Patrick Kane. He wasn't left with much of a choice. He was kind of in all alone. So Ryan Pulock hooks him. Don't blame Pulock for doing it. And the Islanders were actually able to kill it off, which is a positive sign. But again, they were outshot 11-9. Second period, no goals for either side. But to me, the big takeaways from this one is the back-to-back killed penalties. One, Alex Romanov takes a delay of game. He sends a puck in over the glass. The Islanders are able to kill that one off. And then Pierre Engvall goes off for slashing just a few moments later against Lucas Raymond, and they're able to kill that one off. And the power play of the Detroit Red Wings is really the only thing that's keeping them alive right now. They have a lot of talent, but offensively, they've really been horrible at 5-on-5, but an elite power play has kept them alive. Red Wings didn't win today because of their power play. They won because the Islanders continue to do New York Islanders things. That seems to be the case. And shots were 11-6 in this period. Islanders, not much going on at all. It's not great. It's definitely not great. Wanted to get to a couple comments before we pull up the goal that everyone's talking about. Michael says, I can't watch this anymore. It's the same every game. It does feel like it's the same every single game. Nick is done with Dobson. Dobson will not be seeing any sort of payday. He has been awful. Turn 5 says, please trade Dobson tomorrow. I just think he might just be really dumb. His play on the Wings' first goal was so bad. And then says Noah, and then Corey says Noah Dobson is the most annoying Islander since Andrew McDonald. Frustrating. So let's pull it up. Alex Romanov breaks his stick here. So we'll watch it together. Romanov breaks his stick, and now it's a matter of trying to get back in the rush. Noah Dobson plays the pass here, and there's mixed reviews. There's mixed reviews from people on it being Noah Dobson's fault or not. Now, some will say, and I get it, like on the technical side, yes, you are supposed to play the pass. But in this situation in particular, with the broken stick and the lefty coming down this way on the off wing, I do think this is a play where Noah Dobson needs to use his hockey sense and go, I got to play this guy a little bit tighter, force him to make a play here and not get a shot off on the off wing. Again, if that's a righty coming down and if Romanov has his stick, this is probably a different story for me. But Butch Goring was very adamant about Noah Dobson needing to play the body a little bit more. And Bergeron rips through his third of the year, Comfort on the assist. And what do you know? This thing is tied up. Andre says, Matt, I know ownership saved this franchise and got amazing new arena, but unless there are serious changes to management and roster, they're going to be the ones to blame. I'm not going to get on with so many other teams in this town with significantly worse ownership. I'm not gonna go there yet, but I understand the frustration. I understand it. Nick says people don't think the fourth line matters, but we really need to change it up. The fourth line continuously kills any momentum they create. It's horrible. It's a horrible line. Kyle McLean hasn't been very good. Matt Martin should not have been signed from his PTO. And Oliver Wahlstrom is just not an NHL player. It seems really harsh, but to me, I don't know how you could come to any other conclusion. I don't. He's been that bad, and he's getting power play opportunity also and not doing anything with it. And then Lucas Raymond scores with 52 seconds left in the game. Just absolute stupidity and not necessary here. I don't know. What are the Islanders forwards doing? How does this happen? How does he get that open? It's just a complete lack of focus. That's what it is. The Islanders just do dumb things every night to lose points and to lose games. And this is another example of it. What the hell are they doing? This is the top line too. These are all veteran guys. Lee, Pajot, Horvat. There's not an excuse. There is absolutely no excuse. So Islanders go down 2-1. They lose this game 2-1. And just absolutely god-awful performance. No loser point in this one. 2-1 regulation loss against the Detroit Red Wings, a team that's been struggling. Their offense has been struggling. Sorokin played well in this game, but 2 mistakes in the final 5 minutes of this game. They played 55 minutes. That's what they did. Just so embarrassing. It's just so embarrassing. It really is. Ronald chimes in, says Patrick Waugh got to go. This is watching repeat episodes of the Twilight Zone over and over again. If this guy can't psych up his team for the third period, out he goes. I think it's deeper than Patrick Waugh. I don't think changing the coach is going to do anything for this team. They definitely need a GM change. I don't think they'll do that in season, and they need to make some changes with this roster because this team is just not good enough. It really isn't. Nate Dogg says, do you think they signed Martin so he can get his 1,000th game? It's possible. He's pretty close. Their fourth line also was just absolutely horrendous too to start the year, and maybe they're at 963. There's no way he's going to play another 40 games for this team this year. You just can't justify it when, Anthony Duclair and Matthew Barzal come back. How do you possibly keep Matt Martin in the lineup? You just can't do it. So I'm going to say no. Michael says Wahlstrom and Martin, 1.8 million wasted. We could have signed one good fourth liner. Wahlstrom has to go. Trade him for a skate sharpener. I think they're going to waive him. Honestly, I really do. I don't think they're going to. I don't think they're going to keep him around much longer. They're in a pinch with some injuries. So let's take a look at some of the box score numbers. We'll go back to the comments to close out the post game momentarily. But looking at ice time for Islanders forwards, JG Pajot leading the way at 20 minutes and 34 seconds. That's a little bit surprising. I would have figured it would be Horvat. Now, granted, it's only a difference of 23 seconds. So he got an extra 2 shifts, it looks like. And scrolling down to this fourth line, they unplayable. 644 for Matt Martin is the least. Oliver Wahlstrom, 738. He also got some power play time. And Kyle McLean, 804. The line's an anchor right now. Holmstrom scores the lone goal for the Islanders. He played 15:53. Did anyone pick up an assist on that play? Well, obviously Scott Mayfield did, but other than that, no. So it was just Scott Mayfield with the other point. Looking at ice time, Noah Dobson, 22:37. Least was Dennis Chalowski, 13:17. Isaiah George played 19 minutes and 31 seconds. I thought Isaiah George played well in this game. I thought he made a couple of nice plays. I want to see him finally crack the goal sheet at some point. He deserves it. Let's do Sorokin before game stats. Sorokin, 935 save percentage, stopped 29 of 31 shots, 2 goals against, hit with a loss. Does he deserve a loss? No, he doesn't, unfortunately. But the Islanders are just not good enough right now, so he's going to get hit with the L. Game stats, Red Wings, 31 shots to the Islanders, 23. Islanders better in the faceoff dot like they are most nights, 53.1%. The penalty kill was perfect. The Red Wings went 0 for 3. Islanders 0 for 1 on the power play. Felt like maybe they could have put that game away with their power play in the third period. They don't do anything with it. 6 penalty minutes to the Red Wings 2. Hits 29-25, a little bit more of a physical game. Blocked shots, Isles blocked 18. Here's a number that's staggering. Giveaways 18. That is way too high. And takeaways 5-2. Embarrassing. As Doug R says, at least we are consistent. That's one thing you can say for sure, is at least this team is pretty consistent. I thought as soon as they scored the tying goal off that broken stick and go right down and score, my thought was, here we go, another overtime loss. Islanders are going to be on pace for like 25 overtime losses this year. It's unreal. It really is. John Smith says, keep Sorokin. Everyone else is for sale. Look, Sorokin is going to be here because he's on a long-term contract. Barzal, Horvat. There's guys who are a part of this core group, but you have some guys on expiring deals in Brock Nelson and Kyle Palmieri who are going to be legitimate trade chips if they choose to. Lou Lamoriello has to sack up and do it, though. I think there's going to be a legit debate whether or not Lou is going to do it. I think he should, with how this team has played. They are not a very good hockey team. I think they've proven that. And he should sell off pieces on expiring deals. But I'm not convinced that he will, which is scary, right? Like, if they just try to ride this thing out and then you lose Brock Nelson for nothing, or re-sign him and extend this mediocre team, like they desperately need a shakeup. And adding a couple of picks in this year's draft, which is supposed to be a very deep draft, by the way, that's a good way to start. Like, and Cole Yzerman's probably, who he definitely is your best prospect, but he's probably another year away. Get a couple of first-round picks in here. Brock Nelson's going to be worth a first-round pick. Kyle Palmieri at one point was on a 30-goal pace. He's cooled off a little bit, but he should net you, I would think, at least a second, maybe a first, maybe. I don't know. Michael said, George had some good plays. He is a bright spot for us. I wish we could sit Dobson and Mayfield to try to send a message. They're not healthy enough to send that kind of message. Those two guys are pretty damn frustrating, though, right? Like, I feel every night, if you're looking at the Islanders decor, those are two guys who are regularly pretty frustrating. Pelech, who's been out, has also been a frustrating one this year. The guys that I trust the most from this decor are George, who's played like, 7 career games, Ryan Polak, and Alex Romanov. Outside of that, there's not a lot to trust here. John says Lou shouldn't be allowed to make any more decisions for this team. I don't necessarily disagree with that, John. I really don't. I just don't. Do you foresee the Islanders making a change in season with the general manager? That would just be a little surprising for me. It would. I'm not saying I disagree with it and saying that they absolutely should keep him. That's not my take. I don't think he's done a good job the last few years, and I think they should move on. But this is something that I think, like, he'll step down after the season, sort of thing. That's how I think they word it. I don't think they word it as we fired Lou Lamoriello. So they'll let him go out on his own way. Nicholas says, Matt, they need to get rid of Dobson, Palmieri, and Nelson. This team needs a haul of first-round picks in the 25 draft. Lou shouldn't be the GM for the trade deadline. Mitch and I talked about that recently on one of our podcast episodes. We were saying that if Lou isn't going to be here next year, do you want him operating the trade deadline? You can make the case probably not, right? Like, why is he going to stack the cupboard for the next guy who has the job if you're going to move on? Have some sort of interim GM, which would probably be Chris Lamoriello. So maybe that's why you don't do it, and try to get it going that way. They need more assets, though. You're not lying. Sloppy's hanging with us. Sloppy Tuna says, already have seen some mock trades for Nelson. Lots of teams need center depth plus deadline markup. You got to get a first for him. I think absolutely you're getting a first for Brock Nelson. Absolutely. I mean, Bo Horvat, who is a similar player, netted as a rental, right, on an expiring contract. A few years younger, by the way, though. First round pick, a top prospect in Atu Ratu, and an NHL player in Anthony Beauvillier at the time. So I think you'd get a lot for Noah Dobson. Anthony is hanging with us. He said he's going to be here no matter what, talking about Lou Lamoriello. It feels that way. I don't know what it would take for him not to be here. I think it would be him stepping down, which I don't see him doing that in season. Maybe after the year, it would be like he decides to retire or move on. But yeah, it's over. I think it's over, guys. And not that you feel differently. I mean, everyone in the chat is like, Lou's got to go. Lou's got to go. I'm not disagreeing with it. It's been a really, really rough time for Lou Lamoriello. I want to see if there's any post-game quotes from the staff here. Rob Top, I'm going to pull up this tweet from Rob. Noah Dobson via MSG says, we got to learn from it and get better. Rob adds, there's nothing to learn anymore. There isn't. What do you have to learn from? This is something that's happened for 3 straight years. What's left? What's left to learn? Come on. It's a little ridiculous, wouldn't you say? Just check in on to see if there's anything else. No other quotes that I'm seeing right now. That was the big one. Maybe we'll close with this last comment from Stefan here, which is just a little nuts. Through 20 games this season, Isles have had 18 total leads, blowing 14 of them with 6 losses, 0-3-3. They are 0-for-7 in closing out the third period when having a 1-goal lead. They've been outscored 29-19 in third periods this season. A perfect summation of how bad this New York Islanders team is. They are abysmal. Guys, that's going to do it for me tonight. Much appreciated. Thanks for hanging with me. Subscribe if you are new here. We'll be back. Islanders play next on Saturday. They're back home. That'll do it. I'm Matt. Catch you next time.